And I think that it is that when they get to that teenage years where their friends are more influential to them than what's going on at home, I think they do just naturally push those boundaries.
Let me tell you,
Absolutely.
I don't mind saying, when my youngest, so I've had all the learning of the other two children, yeah? He reached 11 and, what Mum used to say, smell it on piss. He reached 11, gone to secondary school, and all of a sudden, he's not listening to me. I think one day he said he weren't going to school. So there was a tumbling in my house, I'm telling you. There was a tumbling, and he got some proper beating. And I was really annoyed that he drove me to that level. But he weren't listening, and he was trying to push past me. And I was like, do you know what I mean? It's not happening because I think you've also got to think to yourself, if you let him do it now, what is it going to lead on
He's
to?
11 doing that by the time he's 15.
And let me tell you, at 11, he was a strong 11. I sweat when me tumble down with him, right? So, can you imagine? No, and it was a serious thing, because can you imagine if I had allowed that, and he would be beating me at 14?
Absolutely.
You understand? A lot of people might have thought, oh, that was out of order. If that was something that someone could have recorded back then and put it on social media, I'd probably be doing jail time now. But as I said, I know within our family, our children are very well behaved. But I know of others out there, I know of some within the extended family circle, that at 13, they don't know where they are. And they're in all kinds of trouble, and the police are looking for them and everything. But none of our children, thank God, none of our children have come to that. They're all very well disciplined.
And is that because of the discipline? It has to be.
I think it's a number of things. I think it's definitely the discipline at home. I think it's also the rest of the family, because I mean, just as normal, if say one of the kids got beaten or whatever over something, I discussed it with my sister. Mum would know about it. Angie would come, she'll talk to the boys. Look, this is why this has happened. You shouldn't be doing this. So I think that constant kind of talking
and going back to that incident, I discussed it with all my brothers and sisters, and all four of them actually spoke to O'Neill. And when it got to the hierarchy, when it got to Andrew, O'Neill stopped, because he realised it was escalating. And it wasn't that we passed him for beatings to all the siblings. It was
back in the day.
it was that they sat and spoke to him and tried to get an understanding of why he's breaking out so badly and what was going on. So, the saying that it takes a village to grow a child, it's a very real thing. And
do you think being obviously I was a single mother growing up, my son Omar, I think as a mother and growing up a boy, do you think sometimes you have to be even more stronger?
I think so. I mean, we both were in the same.
Because
in the same role.
I mean, like as you said, you don't want them growing up and next minute they are wanting to push past you, telling you to sit yourself down and whatever.
And I think that it is that when they get to that teenage years where their friends are more influential to them than what's going on at home, I think they do just naturally push those boundaries. Well, I think you get it with all kids of that age. But then I think that sometimes as well, as you were saying earlier, Ange, about you're not your child's friend. You are always the parent. And to me, until your children get to I'm talking about ages of 25 to 30, them sort of ages, that's when they're more, you can speak to them on a friend level, although you still, by that time, they're respecting you.
I think maybe a bit before that, by the time it's about 20, about 20,
And again, it depends on the child or the young person, because some 20-year-olds are very immature in their understanding of the world around them, whereas others, depending on how they've been exposed or if they've gone away to college. I mean, there's so many family members that have gone away to uni, and when they come back, they're, you know, it's
different person.
They're a different person. So, you know, it depends on what they've been exposed to. Nicole?
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask her a question as well. I was going to say that, I mean, obviously I know that Kyoko's young, but do you think that there will be like a difference between how you discipline her to how you discipline Neron?
Yeah.
As a girl.
I feel like, for me, Neron's my little baby. So he gets away with, like, with me, I feel like he gets away with a lot.
Wow.
But with Daddy now, but then this one and her daddy, I feel like she's going to be able to get away with everything. But I feel like Rico's quite harsh. Not harsh, but harder on Neron. But I think that's because he's a boy and he wants to like install certain things in him from now.
So you think you're going to be stricter with her?
I wouldn't say I'm quite relaxed anyway, but like if I feel like she's pushing it, then it gets stopped there. But she's quite independent, so I kind of encourage that. I feel like with Neron, I'd be like,
that's your first. That's your first. I think your first. You're like
but
that.
with her, I'm like, okay, she
Just
can
go,
play. Like
yeah.
I don't have to walk around with her on my hip all day. So I feel like, I don't know.
She won't get any.
I don't feel like she's gonna. She's quite good anyway. So hopefully it will continue. But my children in general, their behaviour's very good.
Quite well,
I feel they're quite calm. They're not children that just run around like crazy. So in terms of discipline, I feel like I'm gonna be alright. Yeah, I feel like it'll be okay. Yeah. But I do.
Sorry, had you finished your point then? Right, we didn't really plan for this, people, but we have another member in the room, in the studio with us, and I'm just going to ask her to come and squeeze up on the chair with us. This is our mum, Mrs. Brown, or June. So if you could just join us. I know it wasn't planned, but I just want to get a perspective from another member. So we've got 3 generations here. What I went to ask Mum, do you see a big difference between the children's behaviour now to when we were growing up?
Yeah, there's a lot of difference because you all let them get away with murder, I should say, compared to when you.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think we should beat more?
No.
Right, but then why if they're worse behave, why shouldn't we beat them?
Because whatever they ask for, you would say yes, you can have it before you think whether you can give it to them or not in certain things.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
And I think because we've always make excuses for ourselves, don't we? So just like I would want Kyrie to have something that his parents wouldn't want, Mum is saying that we now are giving our children.
Well, I think the grandchildren, I'm very like, you know, lenient with Neron.
Why do we
soft?
But then it's the same when you see Mum with the grandchildren. They kind of
melt. But then I think the only thing that I'm always hot on is I don't like rude children. You know, it doesn't matter grandchildren or not. I just don't like rude children. But I don't like to see him upset. You know, even if he's been told off by his parents or whatever. As you said, I do feel like I just want to hug him, you know. So I do kind of feel like it's not that you just want them to get away with anything or you just suddenly turn soft. It's not that my values have changed, but I just feel, I don't know,
mellowed with age, probably.
Possibly. I think that definitely is mellowed with age because
and even with Trin, thinking about it. I'm a lot more laid back, although...
But maybe because she's a girl.
Possibly. But then,
she's a girl.
you know, again, if she... Sometimes she just might say something that just makes you think, hello. Watch yourself. You know what I mean? You've got to remember, you know.
Yeah. And it's what's the word? Reeling them back in. Yes.
Before you can't.
So what I would ask, again, because there's a lot of wayward, especially boys. I mean, Well, I'm saying especially boys, but if you look at it, there's a lot of wayward young boys and girls, teenagers upwards. So do you think those young people should be slapped, or are they past that stage? Or do you think they didn't get the discipline, as in?
Yeah, I think it is. I think they didn't. Yeah, I think they didn't get the discipline.
They had discipline what you all got when you all were growing up.
Yeah, but then that's the beat.
But then I do think though, what I've seen with a lot of parents is that, especially, and I don't want to batter single mothers because, you know, no one, that's never your choice. It's just your situation. You know what I mean? And I do think that all mothers do the best that they can do in their situation. But then I think that sometimes what you do see with mothers who have boys is that they tend to like start to make them like they're the man of the house, and they get to like a teenager and it's like, you know, that's I don't think that's the right way to for them to feel, or for you to big them up like that, because they're not men, right? They don't know how to be men. And if they haven't got an extended family for a man to be around, they don't have to always be their daddy.
No, of course not.
But they kind of have this idea of what a man should be, and it normally comes from outside. And then what you gradually see is that the parents start losing control.
Yes.
You know, and then they think they can get up and go out and act like what they think is a man. And the parents have lost it by that time. And that could be at the age of like 13, 14, 15 you're talking about.
Yes.
You know, and you can't rein it back in once it's lost at that stage.
So there's one more element of this discussion that I wanted to touch on as well, because my personal view is that yes, slapping is an element of discipline that I think is okay. Would you extend that to other authorities like school? I mean, growing up, corporal punishment was the thing. Do you think corporal punishment is okay? Would you bring it back in? Would you be happy for a teacher to discipline your child?
No.
Anyone?
Nope.
Well, what's behind your no? What's the reason?
Because if I don't do it, I don't really expect anybody else to. To be honest.
But then, sorry, Karen.
Because I would get funny with the way how a teacher talks to my son. If he comes home and I feel like the teacher's spoken to him in a certain way, I'll have to go and speak to the teacher. So if it got a bit further into discipline, then I know that it wouldn't work. So no. Yeah, that's even for like family members. If me and their daddy aren't doing that.
Okay, Nana's coming, and that's quite interesting, because I think again, if there were certain boundaries set, right? I'm not actually going to finish that statement yet. Let me go back to Mum. When we were growing up, the teachers were allowed to cane and slap us. Do you think that was a good or a bad thing?
I don't think you get cane at school.
No, we didn't. They were allowed to.
In our school, they were.
But the point I'm trying to make is that us as disciplined children never got the cane or beaten because we never misbehaved to get it. Now, if you've got a child that is really disruptive and doing things that are not toeing the line, and the teacher is allowed to discipline them and they're doing it within the rules of the school or the government, is that a good or a bad thing? I've got a personal view that because a lot of these things were taken away from the teachers when they're not allowed to discipline, I think that's part of the problem why children are so wayward these days. Because if you go into a secondary school now, the behaviour...
I've heard teachers complain about,
they don't listen because the kids know there's nothing the teacher can do to discipline them.
Because the parents have a lot to answer.
I would agree. I would agree.
Because when you all were growing up, we had one television in our house. We didn't have a video recorder until Virtues was 16. Because most of the kids had two televisions. And they come home and said, oh, my friend have television in their room. So I said, no, because we need you all to be in the same room with us in the evening. So it's the parents, as I said, kids are having kids now, so that's where they're all.
But I think kids were always having kids, though.
Yeah.
Kids were always having kids.
Not like now.
Nah, children were, I think,
Yeah,
you always had, people like, I don't know, 50 years ago, you had 15-year-old mums, didn't you? So
not as much as now, though.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
I think it was happening,
my
but
school,
then
there
it
was a
more-
13-year-old
it was
that had a
underground,
baby.
as in, like,
Right,
people-
they
people
put
did
the
it.
right,
Yes,
but they
yeah.
sent them
They
away.
sent them
But that was
away
always
or whatever.
happening. But I think with what you said, I do think the parents have a lot to answer for, and I think the schools. I would not be happy for someone to be. It's
No,
not
In
going to
this
happen.
current day
It's
and
not gonna
age,
happen.
I
Because you don't know
I
if
think
the
teachers
teacher
be
just
fair.
doesn't like the child.
Right.
Exactly,
and-
just beating my
Yeah.
child for nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what I
fair
always
enough.
say to the boys when they used to be like, "Oh, this teacher doesn't like me." And I would say this now: teachers don't like. Teachers are human. They're not going to
Yeah.
like every child, you know.
Exactly.
So they may not like you,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, the fact that and in our school it was only the head that did the caning or the whatever it was. So it was the head with a slipper. But yeah, I wouldn't be having that.
No.
I think that they need to develop some sort of system or like discipline without the beating. You can work. It has to.
Yeah, you definitely don't agree on beating, do you?
Not yet.
Okay. So there's nobody that's for corporal punishment.
No.
No,
not at all.
okay.
Send them home and
make the
Yeah.
parents
Yeah, let the parents deal with it. So we really know that parents need to look at themselves, and the discipline needs to start from a young age. You can't, as you said, you can't bend the tree once it's fully grown. So when those branches are small, that's the time to bend them, instill the discipline. And when you see it going wrong, you need to reach out to the rest of your family.
Yeah,
You know, if
that's
you
right.
don't have a big family, reach out to friends.
Friends, yeah.
And you know, let the village do the
Help them.
grow the children.
That's what we need
because-
more of.
Yeah,
And
we need
also
more.
take advice, because I think that nobody likes to be criticised. Nobody wants to be told, you know, you're beating your child too much, or you should be doing this, or you should, whatever it is. You know, nobody wants to be told, but you've kind of got to step back and think, and what I'm doing working? You know, so. Yeah.
Okay, guys, so we're going to wrap it up there. What I'd like to say is please be slick viewers, subscribe, like, inform us by commenting. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.